around this joint,
around this joint,
around this joint,
around this joint.
Please be advised that this story contains mature themes and strong language, not suitable for ages 17 and under. Lenny, seriously, son, are we going to have to tell you your whole life to stop slamming doors?
My bad if I don't know my own strength. I'll try to remember not to slam your door while I'm here. And you can stop calling me son and pretending like you like me. My mom is dead.
You've been my son since you were born. I may not agree with all of your choices, but you're still mine. And I love you.
Yeah, okay. So, Dad, are you going to take that padlock off the shed out back? Or do I need to chop it off myself?
Leonard, you know why the lock is there. Your mother wanted it that way after you left town 7 years ago. And it's going to stay that way, even though she's no longer with us.
So just fuck me, right? I came all the way back to this raggedy-ass city to watch my mother die. All I do every day is deliver food to these uppity motherfuckers. And the only space that I can find peace and be myself, you have it locked up?
Charleston is your home, son. I will never understand why you hate it so much. And you chose to be a delivery boy. Now you're a delivery man. You're so intelligent. You could have been anything you set your mind to. But instead, you chose to hop skip all around the country and...
And what, Larry? Go ahead and say it.
Son, you already know I'm not unlocking that shed. If you decide to take your ass out there and chop open that lock, then I'll deal with you accordingly.
Is that a threat, Chief? You know what? Fuck that shed. Fuck this house. Fuck this city. And now that my mother is dead, fuck you too. I'm getting the hell out of here as soon as my check comes from the insurance company anyway.
Yeah, I think that's best. Cause talking to me like that, you ain't gonna have too many more teeth.
Yeah, whatever. Until I'm gone, how about you just stay out of my way, and I'll stay out of yours. And stop calling me son.
And stop slamming my damn door.
What the hell was that all about? Is everything all right?
Yeah, sis, everything's okay. Just your nephew, being who he is.
Well, I've never heard him sound like that. Do you think he's having a hard time with Maggie's passing?
Honestly, Lenny's been having a hard time his whole life. Maggie and I have tried our best to be there for him no matter what. But that kid sure doesn't make it easy.
Well, I'm sure he appreciates you and didn't mean what he just said.
Oh, I'm certain he meant every word. Marissa, I don't think Roy's ever mentioned it because it's not something we talk about. But Maggie was actually pregnant with Leonard when we met.
What? So, Lenny isn't really your son?
Now, I've loved that boy like he's mine since the day he was born. Regardless if I'm his biological dad or not, I raised him. He's my son.
So what about his real father?
He's some older man that Maggie was involved with. She was young and bright-eyed, and he took advantage of her naivety. He would tell her that he was away on military assignments when he was actually stationed right at Fort Jackson up in Columbia. He had a wife and children, but she left him and moved back to the West Coast when she found out about Maggie and the others.
The others? He was messing around with more women?
Yep. There was another teacher at the middle school and a couple of nurses at MUSC. He was with them all during the same time frame.
Oh, wow. He was really getting around, huh?
He definitely was. Maggie found out that she was pregnant right before we met. She told him and he didn't want anything else to do with her. Then we fell in love and Lenny was born.
It's a good thing they had you. I still believe Lenny appreciates you. He's just in a tough space right now.
Yeah, well, it's a tough space he created for himself. He's upset because I won't open up the shed. But talking to me like that is definitely not getting open.
What's so important in the shed?
Nothing really. Lenny spent a lot of time out there as a child, playing and experimenting with lizards, baby gators, kid stuff. As he got older, Maggie grew a tad bit concerned about him, and when he left, she had me padlock the door.
Experimenting? You mean like with dead animals?
Marissa, it's nothing major. And it's old news. Hey, how about you call Roy and ask him what he wants for dinner? I'm thinking about making a pot of she-crab soup. It was my wife's favorite, and I could personally go for a bowl. Give him a ring and see if he can grab some blue crabs on his way in.
Okay. My phone is upstairs. I'll go call him now.
No one could have predicted how Drew's trial would actually turn out. Sabrina called her witnesses to the stand, and each did their best to try to speak towards who they knew Drew to be. Gary McNally testified first.
I have known Andrew for over 10 years. We're friends, and I serve on the legal team for his company.
And in those 10 years, have you ever known him to be violent or dangerous?
No. Drew is a great man. He's always been a solid friend and a well-liked boss amongst his employees. I have never considered him to be anything except positive and driven.
Really? Even in spite of you currently sleeping with his ex-fiancée, Miss Colleen Sylvester, and your law firm dropping him as a client due to the charges that led to this trial, you still consider my client to possess those attributes?
Yeah. He's still Andrew to me. Of course he was upset when I first told him everything, but it wasn't a violent or dangerous upset.
Thank you, Mr. McNally. No further questions.
Michelle Dixon came next. Her testimony focused mainly on Eliza and Drew's work relationship. She did her best to help Drew's defense, but Ciara had tricks up her sleeve.
And has the victim, your best friend, ever expressed to you any romantic feelings toward the defendant?
If you're asking if they were ever romantically involved, the answer is no.
Let me repeat the question for your clarity, Mrs. Dixon. And please, remember that you are under oath. Has your best friend, Eliza Bailey, ever expressed any romantic feelings she has towards Andrew Braddock Sr.?
Yes. She shared that she had a crush on Mr. Braddock and that she hoped he liked her in return.
And did he?
Did he what?
Did he like her in return?
No, not to my knowledge.
You paused and looked at the defendant before you answered the question. Is there something else you'd like to share with the court, ma'am?
Objection, Your Honor. The prosecution's line of questioning is vague and broad. Does she have any additional direct examination for my witness?
Overruled, Counselor. The witness will answer the question.
No, there's nothing else I have to share pertaining to that.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Dixon. No further questions.
The defense then called Chief Larry Jacobs to the stand. Sabrina knew that having the city's chief of police testify as a character witness would look good on Drew's behalf. Something in her gut also told her that if the detectives had mishandled Drew's arrest in any way, Chief Jacobs is the one to uncover it, even if he was helping unknowingly, which is why she had to make sure her questions were carefully crafted.
Chief Jacobs, can you please tell us how long you've known my client and what type of man you know him to be?
I've known Mr. Andrew Braddock Sr. for the past 7 years now. We met when I was the leading detective on his daughter's homicide case, and over time we became good friends. I've known Andrew to be a man of integrity, not always perfect, but a person with his heart and intentions always in the right place.
And would you say that during the duration of your friendship with my client, you've witnessed him experience a fair share of life's highs and lows?
Well, most certainly. The loss of his daughter, the end of his marriage, his son AJ having a difficult time adjusting to the changes their family was experiencing. I also saw him build his architecture firm from the ground up, going from a small business owner to one of Charleston's most prominent businessmen.
Thank you. And throughout all of these life's transitions, was there ever any characteristics or behaviors that you saw portrayed by my client that would lead you to believe that he is capable of the horrible crime he's charged with today?
Honestly, no.
That being said, Chief Jacobs, is it fair to say that you were shocked when you learned that my client, your friend, was a suspect in this case?
Yes, I was. When I saw Drew that morning at the precinct, he was simply there to answer questions and assist my detectives with their investigation.
And at what point did he become a suspect?
I believe he became a suspect during the line of questioning. There were parts of his story from the night before that made the detectives suspicious. Also, the victim's neighbor was brought in, and his statement pointed towards Andrew as a possible suspect.
Was there anything else? Perhaps something more conclusive that would have led to the on-the-spot arrest?
Well, yes. The evidence recovered from the search warrants of his vehicle and office.
Thank you, Chief Jacobs. I have no further questions. Your Honor, the defense would like to recall Detective Marissa Jacobs to the stand.
When Detective Jacobs took the stand again, it was a showdown like no other. Sabrina didn't hold anything back, asking tough questions, and Detective Jacobs had a solid answer for each one. It turns out, the search warrant was expedited by a judge at the request of none other but Chief Jacobs. Additionally, it was also Chief Jacobs who suggested that Detective Jacobs and Matthews show Drew a picture of Eliza on the medical examiner's table to potentially provoke a confession. To top it all off, once Drew requested to call his lawyer, it was the chief who gave the green light to make the arrest, although they all knew there was no guarantee the circumstantial evidence would hold up during the arraignment on Monday morning. Hearing all of that threw Sabrina for a real loop, but she refused to let it show in her demeanor. Drew's face, on the other hand, had expressed exactly what she was thinking and feeling. What the fuck? The final witness for the defense was Vincent. He spoke very highly of Drew's leadership and their friendship. Sabrina's examination of him went extremely well. But then, it was Ciara's turn.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mitchell. You shared quite a lot with the court today concerning the defendant and how he is well respected by yourself and other colleagues.
Yes, as I've stated before, Drew is an impactful leader and he's also mentored me throughout my career. Now I'm a partner at our company and also able to stand in for him temporarily while all of this gets sorted out.
You say that with much certainty, sir. Do you know with 100% certainty that your partner, mentor, and friend did not kill Miss Bailey?
Well, I wasn't there to witness and know exactly what happened concerning Eliza, but what I do know is that there is no way that Andrew was capable of what you're accusing him of. He's not that kind of man and he truly cared for Eliza like a daughter.
Thank you for those remarks. Mr. Mitchell, have you been in contact with your good friend, Mr. Braddock? You know, while all of this is being sorted out?
No, I haven't.
Really? That's surprising considering how close you two are, and that you're standing in as his interim CEO at his company. Is there any reason in particular why you haven't connected with your friend? I would assume this must be a difficult time in his life.
I haven't spoken to him because I've been instructed not to.
And who gave you those instructions?
Our board of directors and legal team. For business integrity purposes, no one in the company is allowed to communicate with Drew.
Wow. Wow, so his closest friends aren't speaking to him. Everyone in his company has been instructed by leadership to stay away from him. And he's already been replaced as the CEO. It seems like those who know Mr. Braddock best have already made up their minds of what kind of man he is and what he's capable of.
No, that's not what I said.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Closing arguments came next. Ciara was adamant about Drew's guilt and confident in the prosecution fulfilling their burden of proof. Sabrina's closing argument was just as compelling. She highlighted many questions left unanswered by the prosecution, as well as made strong points where reasonable doubt could easily exist. Once all was said and done, Judge Taylor sent the jury to deliberate.
Members of the jury, you have heard all of the testimony concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine the facts. You and you alone are the judges of the facts. Once you decide what facts the evidence proves, you must then apply the law as it has been given to you to the facts as you find them. I am now going to read to you the law that you must follow in deciding this case. To prove the crime of first-degree murder charged against the defendant, the prosecution must prove 4 things to you. Number 1, that the defendant killed the victim. 2, that the defendant had specific intent to do so. 3, that the defendant's killing of the victim was done consciously and deliberately. And 4, that the defendant acted with premeditation. If each of you believe that the prosecution proved all 4 of these things beyond a reasonable doubt, then you should find the defendant guilty. But if you believe that the prosecution did not prove any one of these things beyond a reasonable doubt, then you must find the defendant not guilty. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt does not mean beyond all possible doubt. It means that you must consider all of the evidence and that you are very sure that the charge is true. Bailiff Johnson, please escort the jury out for deliberation. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a unanimous verdict?
Yes, we have, Your Honor.
What say you?
In the case of the state of South Carolina versus Andrew Braddock Sr., in regards to the charge of murder in the first degree, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
Order! Order in the court! Order, everyone! Thank you, jury, for your service. You are dismissed. Officers, please take the defendant back into the custody of Charleston County until sentencing February the 9th. Court is adjourned.
Drew is leaning against a wall with the telephone headset to his ear. He's really hoping she answers. He can already feel his heart climbing up the back of his throat. The phone ringing stops. There's a few seconds pause while the recipient accepts the call. Mama Ronnie begins to speak.
Hello, son.
Hey, Mama.
How are you holding up, baby?
Mama, I did not do this. I didn't kill her. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Are they really gonna leave me locked up? I don't understand how any of this is happening. This is all just too much for me to handle.
Oh, Andrew. I know right now it feels like it's more than you can handle. But baby, you have to remember that in times like this, we can't go by what we see or what we feel. We have to go by what we know.
The only thing I know is that I've been locked up for something I didn't do, and the jury says that I'm guilty. So now the judge is going to throw the book at me.
Well, what I know is that no matter what the jury said or no matter what the judge tries to decide. God has the final say. This may be too much for us to handle, but nothing is too much for him to handle. Drew, do you remember how hard things were when your mom passed away? I'd already watched my dearest friend wither away, and I lost her to breast cancer. Then, for some reason that I don't fully understand, she left you in my full custody for me to raise you alongside my own children.
I'm glad she did, Mama. My father and his family are racist-ass bigots.
True. But do you know how hard it was for me dragging you back and forth to court, fighting to keep you, and still trying to honor Amanda's wishes? I just knew that one of those days they're gonna snatch us up, gonna take you away, kill me, and toss my body off into the Cooper River somewhere.
But that didn't happen. You fought for me, and we won.
Yes, but at the time all of it was too much for me to handle. You lost your mother. Your father was angry and violent toward us every time you saw him. And any time we walked down the street, I had to carry the custody papers to prove you were my son, so folks wouldn't call the police on a black woman with a little white boy.
Yeah, I remember that happening one day when we were leaving the grocery store.
Yeah, I do too. So every day, I had to trust that God would work all things together for our good. And that's how Romans 8:28 became your scripture. It says, we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose.
Yeah, I remember we would say it together in the mornings before school and each night when you tucked me in.
Well, son, that verse still holds the same power today that it did all those years ago. I can't tell you how, I can't tell you when, but I believe that God is going to work all things together for your good. No matter what it looks like right now, Drew, he's going to work it all out for your good.
Thank you, Mama. I certainly hope so.
You have 60 seconds remaining on this call.
Is the church still praying for me?
You know we are. Bishop Jeffries called a fast for those who want to sacrifice while we intercede on your behalf.
I appreciate that. Please tell everyone I said thank them.
I'll let them know. But baby, all the churches in the city can fast and pray for you. You can't have an army fighting a war for you that you're not fighting in for yourself. I'm believing that God will hear our prayers, but he needs to hear your prayers. God needs to hear your voice.
I know, Mama, I know.
Well, baby, it's one thing to know, but it's another thing to do.
You're right. Well, this phone's gonna cut off. I'll call you again tomorrow. I love you.
I love you too, Drew. I love you very much. Now you go on ahead now and let God hear your voice.
God, it's me, Andrew. First of all, I want to apologize for how long it's been since I've prayed to you. I don't have any excuses to offer up. I just want to ask, please, for your forgiveness and say that I was wrong for turning my back on you and for being angry with you after Andrina died. Although I'll never understand why she had to be taken away from us, I do believe that she is with you in heaven, and it's time for me to stop being mad about what I can't change. Lord, this situation I'm in, I don't know why this is happening to me or what I'm supposed to do, but God, I need you. I need you to please move on my behalf and work all things together for my good. Please, God. Please, God. Although everything looks horrible right now, I do believe that you are in control, and I believe that you will make a way out of no way. Please keep my family's hearts during this time. My mama, Sabrina, AJ, all of my family and friends who care about me and are feeling the pain of what is going on. Dear God, we need you to be with us and to show us that you hear our prayers. I thank you for everyone who has been praying for me, even when I was too stubborn and faithless to pray for myself. I thank you for hearing my voice, and I know that you are working it all out, even as I call on your name, Lord. I ask that the truth be revealed, and I be set free. I promise to never turn my back on you again, and to always keep my relationship with you intact. I will get my Bible from Sabrina and promise to read it every day. Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path, and without your word guiding me, I've been lost for a long time. Please move for me, God, and fix this. It's a real mess, and only you can fix it. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Around this joint. Around this joint. Around this joint. It's around this joint. Around this joint. Around this joint. Around this joint. We be putting in work around this joint. We here to stay around this joint. We finna take over around this joint. We ain't come to play around this joint. I don't think you're ready around this joint. Dope ass creations around this joint. It's about to get real around this joint. Hella innovation around this joint. Around this joint. Around this joint. Around this joint. It's around this joint. 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 It's around this joint. Around this joint.